The pour today was done with a different boom than last time. Don Ryder took this photo of the long reach. Bruce Semple says that he thinks the outline carved into the newly compacted dirt on the football field is to show where the required stormwater retention vault will be located just a few feet under the elevation 218 feet. I agree, and I'm guessing this is the elevation of the vault floor. The mystery black hoses are one step closer to being ID'd. One of the four guesses has been withdrawn. There is a report that large boulders are being placed on Talus Drive. Manhole and Mystery. That's a good title. The first photo shows those mystery cables again. The bedding is still between drainage and post-tensioning. Also shown are four columns, or rather soon to be columns that need forms and then concrete. The north-south wall will extend further south with forms being added to the south end. The second photo is of a manhole. It is out in the area of the pond and field, and it looks permanent. These are precast at the factory and are standard size for a man to have access to stuff underground. In this case, it is to be the big stormwater vault that replaces the function of the pond. Will these always be called manholes? And does the vault go up from this level and then the field on top of that? If it were a contest, Bruce Semple would be the winner. The black coiled cables are DPC, permanent strand anchors made by a company called Dewey Dags. The following is from my son-in-law, who knows a thing or two about concrete. The anchors are called and pronounced Dewey Dags. They are anchoring devices for holding back vertical walls of soil. Long holes will be drilled horizontally into the slopes. These cables with an attached expanding toggle, very similar to a drywall toggle, will be inserted into the holes. The exposed end will have large threads and nuts that will be incorporated into stabilizing a vertical wall, whether formed and poured or sprayed on, also called shotcrete or gunite. Shotcrete is a very loud and messy way to spray concrete vertically without the need to form. Large high-rise excavations often use this method of soil nails and shotcrete in order to create a large hole in the ground without the risk of cave-ins. Also, large retaining walls along freeways are stabilized with this method without the need or space for footings in which the walls would rest. That's it in a nutshell. No big events from where we were observing today's happenings. There were a couple of details or footnotes to all this. The first was when a boulder got stuck in the space between the curled cutting-edge flanks, such as in the flute of the giant drill bits. At first, two workmen tried pounding it out with a hammer. That did not work. It finally came out with the use of a pry bar and the drilling machine's rotating torque. The second is not so good picture of a flatbed that has just made its delivery and is about to swing a right onto Talus. This is supposed to show the wheels and tires getting a quick shower to hose off any mud that might have been picked up while inside the fenced-off work area. So there will be just the one wet area at the work area entrance and not a mess all the way down the Talus Hill. A note from Bruce Semple. On June 26, the school site engineers took a drone photo of the complete site, including, of course, all the vehicles and equipment on the site. They then overlaid in precise detail the outlines of the final footprint of the school buildings and infrastructure. I have hung the 4 by 3 foot printout on the western wall of the Evergreen Room for your study, and study it will take as it is very detailed. During this week, you will see them starting to build the huge 17-foot high stormwater detention vault, which you will see on the plan at the southeastern end of the playing field. Cheers, Bruce. I've often remarked that it was amazing to see, to me anyway, at least 4 different colors of dirt being excavated. The first photo shows 2 of them in dump truck alternating piles, brown and dark gray. Other parts of the 9 acres show a distinct light gray and a light tan. In the upper right of the photo, the forms for the big stormwater collection vault footings are being put in place, all with lots of rebar. The second photo shows the east-west wall with the forms removed. The lack of windows says that most of this wall and the larger north-south wall will be covered with dirt at this level. What looks like concrete on another north-south wall is actually reused forms where a thin layer of the concrete has stuck to the plywood. There is evidently a subcontractor team that specializes in stormwater vaults. They have been working hard over the past few days setting up the forms and rebar for a pour very soon now. It looks to be back-breaking work to wire all the rebar together. The team comes and goes together and doesn't have much to do with the rest of the workers. I'd guess that there are a couple of other specialized subcontractors who are helping to build the school. This might be the drillers or the pumpers. A few days ago, I commented about 4 different colors of dirt that made up the 9-acre plot parcel. Kip sent these words from Monica, our resident geologist. Monica tells me that the gray dirt is a clay-rich glacial till. This stuff has a lot of interstitial water, but is not very permeable. This helps make it very slippery. It is a stuff that got the developer of Parcel 9 up the hill in trouble. I expect you will find that the gray comes from deeper diggings. The brown is still that has seen some oxygen in its recent history. It is relatively dewatered and loose. Some might even have been displaced or reworked by prior construction. Thank you both. I was hoping that you would respond. Also, there was another big pour today. It was for the classroom foundation. When new equipment arrives or a new process occurs, I attempt to write about it. Today, there was no stormwater vault activity continuing from yesterday, but there was something new going on with the big north-south wall. 50 years ago, they would be using a tar-like substance to coat the outside of a foundation or basement wall to prevent water seeping coming through. This is no doubt what was being done here, but it is now much more complicated. Why the big plastic tarp? Beats the heck out of me. To keep dust off? Certainly not rain. Anyway, they applied it about halfway up on the wall. See the arrow on the photo. The other picture is a close-up of them pouring concrete into one of those hundreds of holes. In this case, an additional concrete pump and hose is added into the job. This allows pouring farther away from the cement concrete mixer. Another trench across the field was quickly dug and lightweight pipe dropped in, all to be quickly covered up. I would expect in a few months to see the construction of individual classrooms like the math class. Today, Timber Ridge residents are learning that the subject equation is true. The cornerstone contractor received an awful lot of rebar and the same for concrete. The long turquoise boom was back and was part of the traffic in and out of the site. This was also the day that gravel was brought in. One blink and there was a tall pile of the stuff. The photo shows that more panels have been added to the other smaller north-south wall. All this and the narrow gate that most of the trucks, buses, and handlers have to squeeze through makes for a jam, not the kind on bread. The photo shows that along with the puddle jumper sitting very still at an awkward incline. The space is going to be filled in someday. Maybe it should have been left temporarily wider to aid in construction, but what do I know? I know that second guessing is much easier than getting it right the first time.